Hello, my name is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, here to provide an update for October 19th, 2020. Let's start with the plane crash. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be a big plane crash. The Southwest Wyoming Regional Airport reported that there was a single-engine plane accident this afternoon, but doesn't look like anybody was too terribly torn up about it. The airport notes that a single-engine Blanca Decathlon, for those of you who actually know what that means, was being flown cross-country when the pilot stopped at the Rock Springs Airport to refuel. Then the crash occurred when the pilot was attempting to take off. Only one person was on board and was treated at the scene by Sweetwater medics. The airport thanked the timely response of the mutual aid agencies, such as the Rock Springs Fire Department, Rock Springs Police Department, and of course Sweetwater medics. And while it doesn't specifically detail what the pilot was treated for, and generally if they can take care of you where you're at, and you can otherwise walk away from it, that's a good sign. So I'm glad that wasn't a more serious case. The airport also added that the cause of the accident is being investigated by the National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Aviation Administration. It doesn't have anything else to say on that, and it would forward any additional inquiries to those investigating agencies. Also today, Sweetwater County School District Number 1 reported that it received word of 6 positive cases involving its students and staff. A breakdown provided by the school district specifically notes that that features one staff member who worked at the Central Administration building, one district staff member, one staff member at Rock Springs High School, 2 students at Rock Springs High School, and 1 student at Rock Springs Junior High School. Following the report of that, 5 students are being quarantined for close contact to one of the students and one of the adults. And the district notes that at this time it appears, as it has been with most cases reported in the school districts, that these are positive cases that resulted from community spread of the coronavirus and not actual cases being transmitted within the school district. One other thing I'd like to highlight would be the exposed students who are now quarantining. The state directive right now is that in cases where student staff cannot maintain a 6-foot distance, masks are required. In cases where people can spread out more than that, they aren't, and school districts continues to look for opportunities as much as that is possible. Within those cases where that 6 distance is being, you're asked to have the masks, when worn properly. In cases where you later find out that maybe the student sitting next to you or teacher tested positive, if it is known that people have been wearing their masks and doing so properly, quarantining isn't required. And we've had other cases where students were exposed and they didn't have to go home for a period of isolation. And unfortunately, we've had some cases where because that distancing and mask wearing was not applied in the state-required way, that they had to leave in-school instruction for a while. So that's reason to be following the rules, both for safety and for ease of mind. And most people I talk to, they prefer to have their kids in class, in school, as opposed to virtual. So if you want to do, if you prefer virtual schooling, good for you too. I don't mean to knock it. I'm just talking about attitudes I'm seeing from parents. Along with those cases locally, I want to point you to the latest stats from the Wyoming Department of Health, which today is saying that we set a brand new record for most number of lab-confirmed COVID-19 positive cases reported in a single day, 251. That beats last week's record, which was set on Friday, with 248. Right now, the number keeps changing because, fortunately, a majority of the people keep recovering from the virus, but it's worrisome that the number of new active cases is increasing at a point that we're seeing such a high point number of active cases. It's in the several hundreds in certain counties in the state right now. Overall, the lab confirmed number of positive cases now sits at more than 2,400 statewide. Trying to put that in context, coronavirus first was found to be present in Wyoming back on March 12th. Since then, we've had just a little bit less than 8,000 lab-confirmed cases, or specifically 7,924 cases. With about 24 active cases right now, that means more than 1/4 of the known cases that we have confirmed lab results for resulted just in the last few weeks. That's the type of trend that is worrisome for us to have generally stayed low and to be more recently seeing a spike. I would point you to rocketminer.com, where we have multiple maps provided by the helpful people at the Wyoming News Exchange, and they break it down in different ways. They talk about active number of cases, which is the number I've lately been focusing more on. Total number of cases, just kind of the number chart of how many per day have been reported over there, and the chart that that I keep focusing on is just the total number of active cases. And while it kind of done like that, it does right now that chart does a severe upswing. We've been warned in general by medical experts that, and we know from our own experience, that a lot of viruses, germs, bugs, just infections in general are more easily spread in the wintertime, particularly in places where we're all inside, especially when the weather's inclement, and tighter contained areas, especially when like the wind's howling or the weather's just nasty outside. We've seen this for cases like the flu, and we're starting to see it for cases like the coronavirus. So I just encourage people that I know we're all tired, but that's why it's important that, especially for the next couple of months, where the risk of spread is even higher, that we continue to practice the simple common sense guidelines we know. Wear masks when you're in closer quarters around people. Wash your hands. Limit trips out when possible. If you feel sick, stay home, and just be kind and considerate toward other people. We're going to keep saying it because it's going to keep being important. But I don't want to end on a negative note. Rather, I'd want to talk about something that I think is exciting and worth looking forward to. The world premiere of And the Wind Howls is coming up. It's a theater/film production sponsored by Relative Theatrics and the Wyoming Arts Council. It's being, we in Wyoming have a chance to watch it virtually this Wednesday. Organizers note that pre-registration is required, and there are other boosters of this event, such as the Rock Springs Main Street/Urban Renewal Agency, and you can pre-register to be able to watch this production online at www.broadwayrs.com. I don't know about you, but a free performance easily fits into my schedule, and it's just about an hour, so it gives you a quick taste of some theatrics and lets you go back to what you're working on. The plot focuses on primarily on a young woman who's returned to her Wyoming hometown after first year of college. She, like many people, had been contemplating having a different life than what she's seen her family do, and has been questioning, do I stay in Wyoming or is this truly my home? Where do I put down roots? Where do I fit in? And talking about just conflicting viewpoints, divergent views, in addition to just questions of social progress and what you can do about local politics, and what is the tradition of trailblazing women, and how does it relate to where people stand today. Seems interesting. Starts at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, so there's still plenty of time to pre-register. I would encourage you all to check it out if you can. If anything, you can talk to, even while we're still keeping our safe distance and whatnot, you can still talk about I was still able to squeeze in a world premiere into my schedule. That's always fun for conversation and and notes home. Not to mention, sounds like a topic that might be able to get spark some interesting conversations in families. Anyway, this is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, wishing you a good day and a safe tomorrow. Bye.